and there's Karen coming on. We've got a full crew.
Looks like it.
Gary, I think what we're going to have to do is go through the March packet and then approve the minutes of the special meeting, and then start with, well, the minutes of the special meeting start.
Work through the March agenda first and then hit today's agenda.
Yes.
Meeting. Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. Somebody was.
I think that was Robin.
No,
Anyhow,
sorry,
the
it was me.
Oh,
Sorry.
Susan, okay.
Sorry.
The packet's kind of convoluted, so if y'all will just, I tried to separate it out so you could see the different sections with the paper clips. So.
Yeah, I think probably the easiest thing to do would be just work through the March agenda and then start in on today.
Which is actually the June one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got everyone here. Do you want to call the meeting to order?
We are at 3 o'clock, so let's call the meeting to order.
Okay. If you will go to the second, it has number 2 on the front. That is our March packet. And that is all clipped together and organized like we normally have a board packet organized. It says we're going to meet at Elkins, but that's been a long time ago. Maybe we can do that at some point. But it starts with the minutes from the November 21st meeting. And Gary, I guess I should turn this over to you.
Right. I guess we'll just call for, if everybody's got a copy of the minutes from the November meeting, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes unless someone sees something in there that needs to be changed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, if you'll, by show of hands. Motion carries.
Okay.
All opposed? Nobody. Sorry. All right. I guess we'll move on to the director's report for that packet.
I'm sorry.
Be the director's report for this packet.
Okay. A lot has happened since then, but we essentially, our IT project is done. We're on fiber. We've got the domain moved over. We are not paying AT&T. We're not paying Cox for internet right now. We're not paying AT&T for the phones. So that works good. Farmington was lucky enough to be closed during the COVID to do their renovation. So that was a help for them because their patrons were already expecting them to be closed. And West Fork had transitioned to their other side of the building. Because of Farmington's project, we were able to acquire some of shelving for Greenland. And so now in the children's section, we have shelves in the middle of the room. So that gave us quite a bit more shelf space. And they did approve the 2020 budget with a 3% increase for salaries. And at that point, I was trying to get a hold of disinfectant sprays and wipes and disposable gloves. And I do have enough of that now for an extended point of time. So Then we have the library reports, unless anybody has any questions about my director's report. Realize I just kind of ran through it.
Right. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, I'm leaning out of camera to read some of this stuff.
That's right, because you just got it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
like I said, I'm having too many irons and not enough fire here lately. So, I don't have any particular questions. Does anyone else?
I don't.
For the directors, Glenda,
Yes,
do
sir.
we need to, we never did do the election of officers. Do we need to do that before financial reports or anything?
Well,
What do
we
we-
are, I guess we do need to do that. Yes.
It was supposed, not on this one, it was on last time and we didn't get around to it. So
We do it after the director's report and the finance and statistics. Then we do the election of officers.
Okay.
So,
Well, in that case, do you want to do the financial report for the last two meetings, I guess, in one?
well, I've actually kind of got them separated out, but
Okay.
I'll be happy to do
However
whichever
you
is
want to do
easier.
them, and then do we need to do two separate votes or do
Yes,
you want to just, okay.
we should.
You'll work on the financials from the,
Well, basically, I have the treasurer's report from November, December, and then it changed. They changed format in January 2020, so it looks different. I don't believe that there are any purchases in there that are not things that you've seen before. In January, on page 3B10, you can see where we gave each of the libraries down about mid-page on 3B10. We gave municipal libraries $14,000 apiece and gave them their first monthly payment out of the allotments.
Talk a minute about the year-end ending balance.
Okay. The ending balance was $1,417,605.79, which is $7,000 less than we started the year with.
Okay.
So, then in January, let's see.
How did that jibe with what you had budgeted or what you had predicted, your ending balance? Is that about what you thought?
Yes, we were trying to kind of stay even. And so even with the IT purchases at the end of the year, the county IT department was able to get us refurbished computers and saved us quite a bit of money that way. And so we didn't really have a huge outlay for that. And they did most of the work. So we did have to have some work on the firewall done so that they could move our firewall to theirs so that we'd have the same rules and everything, but be in their firewall. So really in January and February, there's not much activity, except we did start purchasing more overdrive materials earlier in the year. And then I don't have
So Glenda, there's a lot of Baker and Taylor, that's still all normal, not only ebooks are the ones that are from Overdrive?
Right.
Okay.
Ebooks are Overdrive. I started to say, well, March isn't in here, but that's because we're in this packet and not in the second packet yet. The statement of operations for the end of the year, we finished up 98% expended from the main budget. Not quite as good for Greenland, 88%, and 89% for Winslow. But frankly, there really just wasn't much room left at Greenland to put things in. I'm going to talk to you a little later about some of that and this year's budget. So 98% expended, that's not too bad, right, Susan?
Oh, but of course, most of that is the disbursements to the library, so.
Yes, that's true. The statement of operations for March, for some reason this year, and I apologize for looking down here, but they went ahead and encumbered all of our money for fuel, oil, and lubricants. And so we approve each bill, but they've encumbered the money. We can't remove any money out of that line item. So, and I'm trying to see if there's anything that you might have a question about. I'm not really seeing anything at just yet. Then we have the Greenland Branch, which was 5% expended, 6% expended for Winslow. And that's as of March 9th, which is right before everything hit.
Mhm.
On the cash flow on 3B24, we are at $1,114,000 for February. In February of 2019, we were at 1,007,000. So I guess we got that 7,000 back that we were off. But it's still staying close. We don't have much activity in the cash flow until the revenues start coming in May. So that's the end of the financial report
So
for
in
the
that
March
case,
meeting.
unless there's questions to be asked about that, I'd entertain a vote to accept the financial report through March of 2020.
I'll move on that. So move.
I'll second.
All in favor, show of hands. Any opposed? Carries unanimous.
Okay, and that was both Susans. Susan Unger.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then we get to the circulation in 3C1. And as you can see, there were some downward trends for November. Let's see. And so Springdale's numbers are down. Wait a minute. Yeah, they're down because that made that complete year of having the automatic renewals on. And so that will balance out now more than it did. On 3C2 is the year end. And we were up 14.8% by transactions, by the libraries checking other people's items out from their libraries. We were 14.8 also for circulation by the items owned by the library. Our ebooks were up 17, Springdale's were 17.3. WCLS ebook circulation was up 18%. Our grand total circulation was up 15% over 2018. So that was pretty good. It's not going to be like this year.
Yeah.
So we start out January on 3C3, and Springdale was down again because that's that adjustment for the automatic renewals. Greenland was down. We lost some of our older Greenland patrons, unfortunately, and and they were heavy users of the library. On 3C4 are the library statistics. I'm sorry, the hole punch. This was from the master list, but that's just basically a report of the items added, patrons added, holds, and interlibrary loans for the year. I don't really track those from year to year. And then 3C5 is 2020. January and February looks pretty good. 3C6 is the population for the circulation. And we're at this point in February, we're down 2% from 2019. So, and in 2019, we were 15% above 2018. And the next item on the agenda for new business was a simple pandemic policy for Greenland and Winslow. I don't know at this point if we need to have this in effect or if we might want to have it a little stricter. When we reopen, we're going to have hand sanitizer in a stand at the door where you can clean your hands when you come in the library. We're still debating about the number of people allowed in the building at the same time and whether adults will pick up for the whole library, for the whole family, or if it'll be, one person and one family at a time. I don't know. We're still working on that. We will be having signs on the door asking people, I haven't worded it completely yet, but if we would prefer that you wear a mask to protect yourself and our staff, to make your selections quickly, and the computers will be limited to a certain amount of time. Greenland has they have removed furniture. So there's no place for patrons to sit. Mainly it's, get in, when they open, it'll be get in, get your stuff, and the computer lab will be closed. And they're still discussing whether they're gonna have a time limit or do like Walmart and have the people count. But I think this seems kind of simplistic now after everything that we've been through. But I think what I would like to do is work on this more and have it be approved at the next meeting, and just have it be, this was just a very general example. Is that all right with you all?
Yeah, and does it have to be approved by the board? You can institute, because of the pandemic requirements, you can institute different requirements for the libraries right then instead of having to wait for a board approval, can you not?
I just,
Especially, I mean, for Greenland and Winslow, I'd say it'd be, each city library would have their own,
yes.
however their city wants to do it. My
Well, if
suggestion
nothing,
in this is just to allow you and the librarians to develop a policy and institute that a policy instead of having to wait for a meeting to be called by us
okay.
to tell people to wear a mask and sanitize their hands.
Yeah, I do want you to be aware of what the policy is so that you don't get chewed out for
When it
someone.
opens up, I would prefer it to be safe, and whatever y'all and the librarians think of is necessary to be safe, because each library is going to be different. Let's face it, Greenland, you get 3 people in there, you can't hardly distance. But
Right.
if you've got one family, 3 or 4 people in there, if Miss Underhill feels comfortable with them, that's fine. And then just tell everybody you're going to have to wait till they leave before y'all can come in.
Yeah, and we've purchased sneeze guards for the desk. We will be quarantining materials for 3 days. We received
When it comes back, yeah.
more of a official testing results, and 3 days is the suggested quarantine time. And that even covers the pages in the books. And so what I propose that we do at Winslow and Greenland is just quarantine and not disinfect, because the quarantine should kill the virus.
That's what we're doing for the recycle center. We'll lock the recycle center up for 3 days and then open it back up to the public and then lock it down for 3 days. That way, when our people go in there, the virus has had more than sufficient time to die before they start handling the cardboard and the recycles and stuff. The library should be able to do the same thing, take the books that have been dropped off, put them in the fire bay for 3 days, and
well, and that's the patrons will be placing the items in the tub,
right.
And the librarian will not handle them until they've been quarantined.
Right.
I think that just like when you go to Walmart, when you go to the library, there's a certain amount of risk that you have to assume as a person, because there's no way that we can wipe down every book in the collection after somebody's been in,
Right.
But that's why we'll have hand sanitizer at the door for coming in and for leaving.
And if you don't know if somebody touched the spine of the book, it's on the shelf. So there's a certain amount of risk involved in that, no matter what you do.
Right.
Well, are you going to have the books check in? Are you going to have the patron hold them while the person at the desk read them with the barcode reader, or how's that going to work?
Well, that's probably what we'll do. Is
You said you were going to have the patrons put them in the tub. Somebody's going to have to check them in.
Well,
they'll get checked in after 3 days.
Oh, you're going to, okay.
There won't be any fines assessed.
Okay, so you're just going to, all right, got it.
Like a book drop, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a place set up where we're going to store the materials while that's happening.
Got it.
And of course, everything on here is subject to change at some point.
Well, Glenda, I mean, you were saying, about the mask and the gloves. I think that's very good. You go to a doctor's office and they make you do that. I mean, every doctor's office I've gone to, they say they won't let me in without hand sanitizer and glove before I even walk in, or a mask. Before.
Well, unfortunately, there are some people that we know will not wear masks that are taxpayers. And I think, we urge them to wear one, but we can't really require them to wear one. And we'll talk more about the virus in the next packet, if you don't mind.
Yes.
But I will work on this and give you all a finished copy so that you'll know if somebody calls and says, nah, then you'll know what they're talking about. The last item is page 5B1. This is an official copy of the original lease with the county for the land that we're on. And I just wanted you all to know that that will be coming due again in 5 years. And maybe one or two of you may still be on the board. But we have the right to renew that 2 times. And we pay them $1 a year. They have taken on the janitorial and stuff, and which I'm pleased with. But I just wanted you to know that the county, if we don't renew the lease, the county takes the library or the building. So.
And it comes up in 2025, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that completes the first board meeting.
We skipped a couple things.
I'm sorry?
You skipped 2 items. What under new business was election of officers, and then the long range plan under old business.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got papers everywhere. Yeah, we do need to do election of officers. That's correct.
Then the long range plan was just old business. Were you?
Well, no, it really wasn't. But here's my agenda. I kind of would like to hold on that just a little bit until we can make plans more than a week ahead. Right now, we can't even plan to open the libraries because the numbers keep going up. But we do need to get one in place, and maybe when this settles down, we can get a committee and start working on that.
That's coming down the road here.
Yes.
All right. So what we need to do now is elect officers.
Yes, that is correct.
Anybody want to be president?
I think you do a fine
Yeah,
job.
looks like Gary.
I don't mind doing it. If anybody else wants it, I'll be more than happy to nominate you.
I'm going to nominate Gary Ricker.
A second.
All right. And do we do one at a time, Glenda?
Yes.
All in favor of me?
Looks
Any
like you're
opposed?
outnumbered.
Looks like me. All right. Who is the current vice president or assistant chair, whatever we call that? Is that you, Susan?
It is.
I nominate you again.
I second.
All right. We have a nomination second. Anybody else want it? I know, seeing no joyous faces or anything. All in favor of Miss Unger being the, what is vice president or what is
Well,
that?
it started out as treasurer, and but the position acts in the stead of the board
Okay.
chairman. I mean,
All right. All in favor of Miss Unger having that dubious pleasure? Looks like you're it, Miss Unger.
Okay.
Anybody else that we need to do? That's it, right? As far as officers?
yes, that's correct. Okay.
Long range
So-
plan will go later. So now we're switching over to the June agenda, right?
Yeah. Do we need to call that meeting to an end and start the next one? Or
I don't.
since I've combined them I guess since we've combined them in the agenda.
I think calling the meeting and ending, since we're basically just working through 2 agendas, I don't think we have to end that one.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Just move on to the June agenda. And we will look at the minutes from the April 23rd meeting. if I can-
Right, and that was our first Zoom meeting with the special board meeting about the pay for COVID-19.
Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes for the special meeting? I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
Second.
all in favor by show of hands.
And who was the second, please?
Ms. Unger?
Okay.
Any opposed? No opposition, motion carries, minutes accepted.
One of the things that I've been working on since March is Arkansas Library to Go added 4,000 classic books to the collection. Unfortunately, the records are not good. Sometimes they have the author's name, first name, last name, or it doesn't have, they're not correct. And so I've been having to go through and update the authority headings on the names and the subject matters so that they show up in our catalog if you do the right search. And so I'm learning a lot about some old authors, and some of them seem to be kind of interesting, but it's been tedious at best. So
What you're doing, does it do anything besides get our catalog together? Does it help the consortium at all?
doesn't help the consortium at all.
Oh,
It's just for us. And I didn't know they were coming. And it was just, I downloaded them one day and I went, what is this? And it turned out that Rogers ordered them. But we want to have everything in our catalog so that it's accessible either way.
Right.
Either through Library to Go or Libby or our website. So, so after the virus hit, number of our libraries started doing their story times online for the first time. I think that they're getting more comfortable with it all the time. I've seen several because they do them on Facebook. And you should tune in sometime. Just follow the library on Facebook and it'll tell you, you know, story times, blah, blah, blah. We had to, because we didn't have as many materials moving around, right now we're doing the courier delivery 1 day a week. We had to do a special day to get the packets out on last Friday, but right now we're doing Wednesdays. When more things start being returned and when things open up, we'll go back to that being a 5 day a week position. Let's see. When Fayetteville was closed, we assisted their patrons that called. They are now open again. I believe, I don't have this for fact, but because that they do have a building campaign, funding campaign going on, that is part of why they have opened up. Bentonville has opened, very limited. Some of the smaller libraries in Benton County have still not opened. Most of the libraries in the state, public libraries, are still closed, but offering curbside. There's just, you know, we want to be there for the people, but we also don't want to help the spread of the virus. And so libraries have become more creative about how they can provide services to the libraries. I know Farmington added Hoopla, which is a downloadable ebooks, music, movies on their website. Springdale has ordered some things, some different downloadables that are accessible by Washington County patrons. The state library provided a product called Read Squared for summer reading program. And some of the libraries are taking advantage of that, some are not. That's a local decision. It's not the best, but it was free and it came at the right time without everyone having to agree on one thing. So it's what the state has put out. And then the courthouse was closed to the public March 16th through the 18th. There are a number of departments in the courthouse that are still closed that can provide, like the circuit clerk's office is closed, but they can mail or email things to you. The one office that has to be open is the county clerk for marriage licenses. They cannot close that office, which I found interesting. They have now opened up. Used to, everybody had to go through the main door and get your temperature taken and the whole bit to get in the building. Now they've let the staff start back in the staff door. And so we try to only go up there when we have to. I don't know if you saw in the paper that the road department is closed due to a case there.
Somebody tested positive over there, didn't they?
Yes, and they were in for training from another location.
Oh.
They were a county employee, but so then everyone in the building had to be tested.
Right.
So they're taking it very seriously, and I'm glad.
I know they tested all the deputies and jailers and everybody over there, because that's 500 or 600 guys that they tested. And I don't think any of the employees tested positive. Several of the inmates in the jail did.
Yes, I think it's like 16 or 18.
16 or 17, somewhere in there. But I haven't heard of any of the employees testing positive. And I think most all of them have got the results of their tests back so far.
Yeah, the road department and planning and buildings and grounds should have theirs back by the end of the week, and hopefully they'll be back functioning. Like I said earlier, we've been trying to buy more downloadable materials for those patrons that can use that service. Since the Greenland and Winslow collections are not being used at the moment, I'm still purchasing books for when we reopen, but I might, if this continues on, come to you at the next meeting and ask if I can move a certain amount of money from the Greenland and the Winslow budgets to the overdrive budget, which I would have to go to the quorum court to do that. But
picked up the use of it and everything.
I'm sorry.
Since the libraries are closed, have the downloadables picked up significantly, or has there been
Yes.
any? Okay.
Yes. And when we get to the stats, I'll show you that. That's the only good thing about the stats. So, in Springdale, part of what Springdale's been doing when they've been closed to the public is some of the people during the day have been making cloth masks, and they have donated them to Children's Hospital. They gave us some for Greenland and Winslow. I think and Angel, I don't know if any of you know Angel Hutchinson. She's a longtime employee there, but she's having to work from home, and she's made hundreds of masks, and they are providing a service that's not normally a library service, but they are helping their community, and I think that's commendable. Right. That gets us to the library reports. I know Gary hasn't read his. I don't know if the rest of you have. Basically, it's how the libraries are coping with the pandemic. There's differing reports. Lincoln has been letting people in the building by appointment, but they've controlled the amount. Several of the libraries are doing craft projects along with their summer reading program, and they have tables where people can pick those things up. Let's see. And I still don't know about the theme I'm sorry?
So most of the libraries are open some of the time. Is that what we're gathering from this? I guess
No,
I'm still pushing for running to open up holds again and running the courier so that we can actually get materials out to people. I just, we had said that maybe some of the libraries wouldn't be there to be able to process holds, but it looks like most of the libraries are open at least part of the time.
they are not open, but they're staffed.
They're staffed, okay.
Yes.
Somebody there.
Right, but Greenland and Winslow were not staffed. But we could look into that.
I'm thinking
But-
all that new stuff you bought, it's just sitting there, and it's hard to find anything new at least out here where I am. So it would be good if we could be running the courier a little more and getting some stuff out to people who wanted.
Let me talk with Springdale about that, since they would probably get the bulk of the holds.
Yeah, well, whatever. If somebody wanted to opt out, I don't see why they couldn't, but you can do that, right? You can,
Yes.
Yeah.
It adds back on to the things that have to be redone when we open back up, which is
Is it
a
big
lengthy
deal?
list.
Is it a
I'm
big
sorry?
deal? Is it a big deal to do it, or?
It's not a big deal. It's just another thing.
Okay.
But I can explore that with the librarians and see if they would like to do that. I know what you're saying, Susan, and I understand. But then you still have to access curbside to pick it up.
Right.
Um,
I mean, at least you could go online and see what's available and actually, know what you can get. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
you look at a title and nothing's available. I mean,
right. Let me talk with Springdale. That would be yet another move that we can make forward and still not open.
and I'm just
And-
thinking that would be, I really think this public service aspect of this is not great. I mean, I think closing the libraries is not a great public service. I recognize there's the risk, the health risk, but there's, I can go get a tattoo, I can go to the dentist, I got my haircut today, but I can't get a library book. I mean, I don't know. That's my personal opinion is we ought to be moving more in the direction of opening up. How everybody else feels about that. Anybody else have an opinion?
There were 96 new cases in Washington County today.
Yeah.
So, and the hospital is getting full.
Cool.
But I know that there are differences of opinion. That this would be one way where we could compromise and make things available. But I want to talk to the libraries about it before I do that. Let me make a note. Okay. Were there any questions on the library reports?
No, we have West Fork has started their summer reading program and great reviews about it. We've been doing it at our house and have loved what we've been given and very enjoyable. So we're very satisfied with where we're at there.
Yeah, she
You do it
does.
through Facebook or online?
And we do Facebook, and then we also pick up items every week. We have a craft project, and we've been going and listening to the story time on Wednesdays, and then everything else they post a couple different things throughout the week. And then Appleseed has donated vegetables, and like we had beets and make a recipe with beets, and this week we have greens and we've got to make something with greens, and it's definitely different, but we're enjoying it a lot. It's good family time, and we have 15 families participating, anywhere, I'm not sure, from 3 people to maybe 6 or 7 people each family. I'm not sure the average, but that's really good participation in general. And so, and the reading has been really good. Our daughter's really pushed up her reading on everything with it. So I think it's good programs. So happy we are able to have them, especially in this time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do we want to start the finances again?
We went through what? Went through to March?
Yes, we'll start with March.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start. That way we can go through that real quick and get a vote on that part of it.
Okay.
Get it out of the way.
Again, you'll see lots of Baker and Taylors. Some of those things trickled in. For a while, we didn't order anything because we weren't sure if the county was going to close us down too. I know that the schools had a lot of problems with, they had ordered a bunch of stuff, then UPS couldn't deliver it and had to take it back. And so after visiting with my UPS driver, we just kind of held off for a while. And so it's to the point now that when he pulls up, he goes beep, 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 so that I know he's out there and can have my mask on and have the door open and everything for him, which is nice. But most of the spending has been Overdrive, Baker and Taylor, Office Depot. I was trying to get the disinfecting items before they were gone. And I wasn't able to get masks at that time, but now we have homemade ones that we can wash. And so.
Well, now that you got that, you can buy boxes of them now. It's easier to find them.
Mhm.
What is Solar Winds?
That was the spam program that we had. And since I didn't get it cut off at the beginning of the year for the transition, we had to pay
Yeah.
the year
I just
subscription.
didn't know what that particular company was.
Yeah, you
Thought
won't
maybe
see
we
that
were getting
again.
a windmill out there or something.
Yeah, no, you won't see that one again.
All right.
In April, if you'll notice on, I cut the page number off, 4B5, the SWEPCO bill is $137.92. And let's
In
see.
June, it was $29 or something.
Yes, that was what I was leading up to, is that, and then in April, it was $207. And May, it was $23.99.
So what's that all about?
Well, they've built a big solar field down here.
Okay.
And we apparently, I was told that we wouldn't be on it, but apparently we are. And so
benefits.
Yeah, so we're getting the benefit from that. We're getting the phone and the internet through the county. I do had to keep one analog phone line for the calling server, the server that calls people to tell them that they have stuff to pick up, which is also turned off right now.
I noticed in the winter, the SWEPCO bill is like $200. You think this will, I thought maybe it had to do with the fact that, you didn't have very hot weather in June or May, I guess. Do you think you'll see that kind of reductions over the year?
I do.
Great.
I hope. I think we will. So that will make our utilities, the highest will be the water. And most of that is because of the recycling that we're having to pay for now. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the hazardous waste has moved out of the building down here. It's going to be used for, they're going to move buildings and grounds into the hazardous waste building after it's been renovated. Then the Department of Emergency Management is going to come from the courts building back down here so that they can open up another courtroom up across the street from the courthouse. So,
So where is hazardous waste?
Prairie Grove,
Oh, really?
yes,
Out at the Boston Mountain.
yes.
Wow.
So, anyhow, that, I won't be seeing as many trucks with tires in the back now. But I think on May 26th on 4B9, our Cox bill was $69.35. We're splitting that bill with buildings and grounds. Our one analog, we are paying for one phone line, the analog line for that calling server. They are paying for 2 analog lines that go to the fire alarm. And right now we're having to divvy the bill up. So this was the initial installation, and there was also credit on there too. But now it should be only about $15 a month. So that's all of the activity. The statement of operations is on 4B11. We have spent more of supplies than I normally do at this time of the year, but that has been because of the COVID-19 supplies. And there are, we ordered a new backup source for our servers and the rack and everything. And that's considered small equipment instead of computer IT equipment. So I'm gonna have to do a line item transfer to make that balance out. As you can see, under small equipment, I have an encumbrance of $1,100 or $1,129, and I have a balance of $230. So I'll be having to move some money to make that wash out.
What page are we on? I'm not following.
4B11,
Okay.
and it's
What number?
small equipment is 2002,
Okay. All right. I'm good.
and 2009
Okay.
is computer IT equipment. So we're 96% expended. Actually 90% expended for the total budget. But that's because we prepay a lot of things. You can see that Greenland, I've only expended 17%. That's because I just realized yesterday that I had not placed the May order. And so I've ordered those. Tara's gonna come in tomorrow and work on the June and July forecasts, and we'll order some more new materials. But I think we will possibly want to look at moving maybe a couple of $1,000s from each of them to the overdrive if this pandemic continues. And
Did the new shelving at Greenland increase your capacity?
yes, we need to get them bolted together though,
Right.
before we can open. But yes, that has increased the capacity, but we can fill it up pretty fast. That takes us to 4B15 if there aren't any questions on any of that. The cash flow statement, we're at $1,359,000. This time last year, we were at $1,343,000. May is when most of the mortgages are collected. We'll see a little more in June. And then that'll probably be the bulk of it again until people pay their taxes in October, which will show up to us in November. So we're a little ahead of last year at the moment. But we'll be expending more as we go. If there are no questions, that's the financials for this board packet.
If there's no questions, then I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report from March through May, I guess, of this year.
Yes.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor by show of hands?
Thank you.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have to tell you, it's a whole lot easier to do the minutes from the Zoom meetings than it
You can
is
record them.
from the tape recorder. That takes us to the statistics on 4C1. And as you can see, the percentage change is negative, 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 negative. But Prairie Grove was open for a while. And so there for 2 months, Prairie Grove had a bigger circulation than Springdale, which will probably never happen again. But they have, the board has decided that they need to be closed again due to safety issues. And so they are now closed again for the time being. Anyhow, you'll notice for March and April, if you go down to the ebooks, we have a percentage change of 13% increase March 2020 over March 2019. In April, we have a 42% increase because we've purchased more titles and trying to get, and we've also, when we purchase titles, we've started purchasing what they call, now I can't think of the term, but they're only available to our patrons for a year. And then they're available to the whole consortium. But if there are, what's the book you're going to read, Susan?
Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah, Where the Crawdads Sings. There were 166 holds on it. And we have already bought 2 for our collection and 4 for the consortium to use in general. So I kind of feel like we've done our part to help build that whole list down. And we can't afford to subsidize all of those. But I think it's only fair for us to provide some to those large orders like that, large requests. And after a year, the advantage, that's the word, the advantage ability comes off of it, and then it's available to everyone. Unless it's one of those titles that goes away after 2 years, which we're trying not to buy. Let's see.
Glenda, I'm curious, could the individual municipal libraries put some money toward ebooks if they wanted to? How would that work?
They could if they wanted to. We'd have to do the purchasing. I mean, I guess that they could make a donation to the county in that, for specific titles. We could we could deposit the money and make the purchases for them. What we do is if a patron wants something and it's not in the consortium and the library calls us and says, hey, can we get so-and-so? We'll do that if it's available. And we've had patrons ask us too. In fact, we've turned on a feature just, I think it starts next month, that patrons can make recommendations. And then you can look at those, and if they're available and they're in, you can look at the whole consortium, and you can also look at just your patrons. And so that's another way for us to get some titles that people are wanting. Patrons are limited to the number of requests that they can make during a certain time period, though. But it's a new feature, and I think we'll be able to use it to our benefit. So, so the May numbers were even more abysmal than March and April. But those are from curbside. But if you look again, the percentage change for ebooks is 42.8 for WCOS and 36.2 for Springdale. I think, you know, more people are trying to spend money that way so that there will be some resources. I know that we hadn't in the past had not purchased very much children's material, but we've started doing that too, so that there'll be more available, especially since the kids, you know, not in school.
We're not even sure if school's going to start next year.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that Elkin's got some information, and they're going to have to make some decision. Parents are going to have to make some decisions pretty quick. I'm just grateful that I do not have a school-age child anymore.
It is a very hard decision to figure out, which we're still figuring out.
I saw a thing on Facebook that teachers should definitely get a raise, and you know, it's from parents saying teachers deserve raises.
Give you what you want.
Well, I saw the thing when school closed down. It said third day of homeschool, teachers fired for drinking, kids expelled.
I saw that too. If you want to go on to 4C4, our overall picture at this point for the year is we're down 45.4% in total circulation. I think this is going to be one of those things that they've already had to redesign some of the questions that they're going to ask for the annual report, because we're having to collect information to make up, you know, what did they do and how much of this and how much did COVID-19 affect your operations. And, you know, last year we were up 15%. Now we're down 45%. But
there's not anything you can do about it, though.
No. Item 5A, I just wanted to give you a update of what I've spent so far on items for Greenland and Winslow in this office. I've also did not get this on here, but there's also 3 sneeze guards for $367.09 that needs to be added onto that. So 1371.73 is what I've spent so far on supplies. I think that's going to be an ongoing thing from now on, is that we will have to provide hand sanitizer and have items to wipe down counters, things like that, doorknobs. I think it's just the way it's going to be. So next year I may want to budget a little more for supplies, just, you know, so that we don't take away from the library supplies. So where's my agenda again?
We're at the end.
We're at the end.
That's basically it. The pandemic update was the end behind
Yeah.
statistics. And that's
Um,
pretty much all we talked about is the pandemic.
yes. Do we want to pick a next meeting date?
Yeah.
I won't have, oh, on a note for those of you that have been on the board for a while, Carolyn Ashcraft, the state librarian, is retiring this year. And at the end of this month, and she has appointed
I'll be
Jennifer.
back in a second.
Okay. She has appointed Jennifer Chilcote, her deputy director, as the new director of the library system. She's been approved by the board and everything. And Jennifer's really good and sharp. And so I think we'll be lucky to have her. Gonna miss Carolyn. They mentioned her in the congressional record at the Capitol during the last week or so. And so.
Cool deal. When do we want our next meeting? In August or September?
Well, here's the deal.
We have to work on budget sometime.
Right. But I don't get the state library numbers until August usually.
Okay.
The
First part of
funding.
August or end of August?
Usually towards the front of August. I suspect that we will not get as much state aid next year. They've tried to take care of it that's one of the things Carolyn did on the way out, is we will not see much difference in the rest of this calendar year. But I suspect that money is going to come from the library fund and other places, other departments in the state to help cover the costs.
Right.
And so I just wanted to give you all a heads up on that. But
Everything's going to be tightening their belts this next year, I'm sure.
probably so. If we met in late August,
Like the 27th?
I could probably have the budget done. Of course,
Well, we can do it in September if you would. I mean, it's kind of you pick and choose what's best for your schedule, and we'll see if that's works for everybody else.
well, we need to meet July, August, or September. If you don't mind, if we could do it in September, then I'll have more of an idea of what the county's going to
I
expect,
don't have
what
a
they're
problem.
going to want.
Does anyone else?
Mm-mm.
What time in September? 3rd, 10th, 17th, or 24th?
Y'all pick.
24th.
24th?
Mhm.
Anybody have a problem with that?
No, I am out the 24th. I won't be able to attend.
Oh, okay.
No, not the 24th.
That's the
Okay.
17th.
I'll be gone the 24th.
And
Okay.
I have stuff that day already scheduled.
Okay. How about the 17th?
17th?
That works for me.
Once?
It works.
Going
And
twice?
it may be another Zoom meeting. I mean, I don't know.
We'll do what we have to do.
If not, maybe we can go to Elkins, you know.
September 17th,
At
2020
3:00.
at 1500, unless the COVID's got us.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah.
Would Karen was on here, but then she went away. Just realized.
I think she was having connection issues. Because the picture kept freezing and going to something else. So
Okay, because I would have liked to have heard from her about what's happening up at the hospital, since she's ICU nurse up there. I guess we need to,
It's rough.
sorry.
I was saying it's rough. My mom works in the emergency room. She said it's been a lot lately.
That's what I
A lot more.
understand.
It is what
Um,
it is.
Guess we need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, since we set the meeting, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, show of hands. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Now, if we
Thank
want to
you.
gossip about anything.
See y'all.
Would
right.
you all
See you later,
please stay safe out there?
Thank you. And Glenda, thank you for everything you're doing and all your
Well,
staff.
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Brenda.
Oh, gosh.
And Susan, I'll visit with the libraries and see what we can, if we can
Okay,
move some things up.
All
You
right.
throw-
good.
Linda, if you need anything from me, you've got my number. Just give me a call. I'm fixing to go. I've got people sitting in the office.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.